The luxurious young lady slowly walked towards her intended goal. The maids stood in a row and followed her with a silent gaze. Passing by the woman, the young lady wished them good morning. When the girl passed them, the maids began to discuss her. They honestly didn't understand how she could change in just one night. The maids knew that the girl was timid and modest, but today they saw a completely different person. This shocked them. The young lady came to her husband. She was worried but persistent and didn't want to stop. The girl offered her husband a divorce. The young master was shocked by what she said. He didn't understand why this would suddenly be such a statement. Stunned, he could only ask her what she said. But the girl was not going to back down. The girl calmly repeated her praises to him, and she said that there was and never was love and warmth in their marriage, so that she saw no point in living together. The young lady said she didn't want anything, she just wanted to leave. He was silent. The lady never heard an answer said that his silence meant consent and decided to leave. Claude was angry. He grabbed Mrs. Ayla's hand, pulled it closer to him, and said that he did not intend to divorce her. Claude was persistent. He said that he would not let her go under any pretext. Even after death, he will not let her leave. He didn't want to lose her like that. Ayla left him for her room. She was very excited and confused. Ayla didn't understand what to do next. She wondered why he was so adamantly opposed to divorce and did not know the answer. Just a week ago, the young lady was an ordinary girl, a college student. She and her friends were celebrating the end of the semester. They were having fun because what awaited them next was something completely different, namely, adult life. But unfortunately, the girl got very drunk and carelessly stumbled. Such an act cost her her life. But fortunately, or unfortunately, the girl was given a second chance. She was reborn and ended up in the body of the young mistress. He was just a minor character in the romantic fantasy, The Prince My Prince, which was doomed to a tragic death because of her husband's infidelity. The daughter of a Viscount Isla was forced to marry Duke Claude Reinhardt in order to pay off her father's debt. And the reason why Claude agreed is very simple. The girl was quiet and never argued with him. He just needed a wife from a weak family. Claude paid off the debt, but he abandoned her. He did not perceive her as a wife. Even on their first anniversary, the girl was alone. He avoided her in everything. After the wedding, he left her, and she spent their wedding night alone in tears. Claude was an extremely heartless person. Under the guise of fighting monsters, he gathered people to organize a rebellion. However, the rebellion was suppressed. Claude tried to lead the detachment into the palace, but the first prince, the main character of the novel, noticed in time. The prince decided to strike back and execute the entire family. Because of the rebellion, Ayla was captured and beheaded. There was no further mention of her in the book. Unfortunately, the girl ended up in the heroine's body. She was confused as to why she had to die because of her husband. The girl knew that she had to leave him before everything happened. The girl was sitting in thought when suddenly a female voice interrupted her. The woman at the door said she was going to come in. The girl was a little puzzled. She knew maids weren't supposed to do that. They work and behave differently. The maid was very angry. She asked Ayla why she skipped dinner and didn't tell her anything. The Duke was angry with her. She said the girl was exhausted and also ordered her to stop behaving like that. And she needs to start behaving as before. The girl was simply amazed that the author made such a turn. She felt bad for the heroine. Even the maids looked down on her. She had no idea how hard it was for the heroine to live. And she decided that some things needed to be changed. The girl decided that the heroine had had enough of the ridicule and rude behavior of the maids towards her. The girl stood up, straightened her back, and asked her name. A little taken aback, the maid said that her name was Jane, and adding, she asked with bewilderment in her voice what Ailey was waiting for she should apologize. Ailey was shocked and furious at her words. She felt sorry for the poor heroine, since even the servants looked at her with contempt and condescension. She threw a vase of flowers in a rage. Ailey looked at the maid with contempt, saying that the vase accidentally fell, and I asked her if she should now apologize for her behavior. She asked if the maid was hurt. She knew that she had to use the full power of this situation to show her superiority. The girl didn't know what the real Ailey had done, but she firmly knew that she had to do everything to prevent this from happening. The girl said that the maid must be punished for her words and must remove the fragments. The girl said in a rage that the maid was fired since it was not profitable for her to keep such a worthless servant near her. The maid could not withstand the pressure from her mistress and left the room in a hurry. The girl knew that she needed to increase her authority and passionately wanted rumors to spread quickly. Ailey knew that the faster her bad reputation spread, the sooner she would divorce her husband. The girl planned an insidious plan. She wanted to get rid of her obligations and have fun to the fullest. 3 days later, the maids were gossiping about her. They said that the girl began to behave very strangely and did not understand why the Duke married her. The maid was at a loss as to how she could do nothing and just relax. They said that she behaves like a lady of the house, but she is not. Since she and the Duke did not have a very good relationship, Ailey called the maid. She quickly came to the mistress. Ailey said she hadn't seen her before. She was taken aback and said that she had recently taken up her duties, since the previous maid was fired and she was hired in her place. The maid said her name was Liana Ailey, with a smile on her face, said that she would not stay here and that she needed to take good care of her. Liana was taken aback by the mistress's words. She said that she would never violate Ailey's orders and would serve her faithfully. She wanted to work with her for a long time and waited for her orders. Ailey smiled and told her to tell the maids to bring her some snacks and a catalog. Ailey wanted to do some shopping for herself again. Liana was surprised that she wanted snacks again, and taken aback, she said that the lady could eat whatever she wanted. Ailey knew that she couldn't be a villain without luxury. She ate whatever she wanted and thought it was happiness. After the meal, she decided that for now she would go to her husband and talk to him. A maid came to her and said that the Duke was waiting for her, and he wanted to talk to her. Ailey was taken aback. She realized that she had been caught, but she didn't intend to just give up. She walked with the maid and hoped that he would give her consent to the divorce. The closer they got, the more Ailey wondered why the Duke had called her. She was visited by thoughts that he wanted to account for her wastefulness and drive her away. She walked no matter what awaited her. She walked towards him with an assertive step. The maid shouted after her that she should wait and not go alone. Ailey said it was okay and she would go alone so they could meet later. Ailey came in and quickly asked her husband why he was looking for her and why she needed her. Ailey hoped that she would say that she would divorce her. But unfortunately, he asked if she was ready for the banquet. Ailey, confused, asked what kind of banquet we were talking about. The Duke said that the banquet would be organized by the first prince in 10 days. The heroine recalled the actions that took place in the real story. There was talk of a banquet in honor of the prince's birthday, and 6 months later, Claude rebelled. Ailey said that everyone around her was complaining about her wastefulness and asked him if he had heard about it. The Duke was confused. She said that she carelessly spends his money on various jewelry. The Duke was a little taken aback and said that this was not wastefulness at all, and if she wanted something, she should just write a list and he would buy it for her. The girl was shocked by his words. She thought he would be furious that she was spending money since she spent a lot. Ailey decided to tell him that she was not fulfilling her duties, but he calmly told her that if she doesn't want to, then she shouldn't do it. He doesn't force her. The Duke said that in exchange for her whims, he wanted her to stop talking nonsense about the divorce. Ailey couldn't say a word. After their conversation, she thought about what to do next. She had no choice. She needed to escape to stay alive, but she knew that there was no way she could tell Claude about this. Ailey sat very sad. She kept wondering why her husband didn't want to get a divorce. She knew he didn't even come into her bedroom. Ailey sat for a long time in sad thoughts. She was determined to escape. She wanted to sell her jewelry and expensive clothes to cover travel expenses. Ailey decided to act more decisively. She decided to see what her escape would look like. The girl made a rope out of a sheet, tied it on the balcony, and climbed down. She knew that at such a time the security was changing and she would be able to realize her plans. But unfortunately for her, the plan went awry, because her rope could not stand it and broke. She quickly fell down. Ailey was very scared and closed her eyes. She felt so bad that she couldn't even feel the pain. Claude caught her. She was very surprised. The girl did not expect this. Ailey asked how long he had been here. He looked at her and calmly said that from the moment she opened the curtain, the girl was reassured by the fact that he caught her from such a great height. She only managed to ask him why he didn't tell her anything. Then, since he saw what she was doing, Claude said he was afraid she would fall if he said anything. The girl timidly said that she didn't fall, her clothes were just torn. She told him she was fine and he could let her go. Claude said he wouldn't let her go until he was sure she was okay. He asked what she was even trying to do. The girl knew that if she told the truth, she would have big problems. Eileen said she just wanted to go for a walk. She knew he wouldn't believe it, and I thought about telling the truth. Gathering her courage, she said that she wanted to run away because she no longer wanted to be in such a place. He looked at her in surprise and asked if she hated him so much that she wanted to run away. The girl was surprised. She did not expect to see him like this. He always hid his emotions. Claude looked at her and said that in this way she could harm herself. Eileen said she just wanted to leave. She was worried about her life. The young man said that he would take her to the bedroom. Leaving her in the room, he told her to rest. Eileen said they weren't done talking and thanked him for paying off her father's debt. Despite the fact that their marriage was of convenience, and even if he cheated on her, she was grateful to him. He was surprised when she said that he was not faithful to her. But she said she knew everything. He constantly avoided her and preferred war to his wife. Eileen knew that he didn't like her. He was a little puzzled. Eileen decided not to give up her position and continue. The girls said that they did not sleep in the same bedroom and that they had spoken very little since the wedding. And when she talked about divorce, he didn't even look at her. He was sure that this was some kind of misunderstanding. She drove him crazy. Eileen wanted to end the conversation and leave him. She desperately wanted a divorce. He asked her to give him another chance. Claude asked her if he fell in love with her and they had love, then she would change her mind about getting a divorce. Eileen was puzzled. She didn't understand why he was talking about love. Eileen thought that this was a good chance and should be taken advantage of. The girl told her husband that if he made her fall in love with him, they would not get a divorce. She knew that if she took the chance correctly, she could divorce him. She told him that she had one condition. Eileen said that he has 1 month to do everything. She knew that it was impossible to do such a thing in such a time, and thus he would lose his chance. Eileen said that if by the end of the month her heart remained unchanged, then he would give her a divorce. The girl knew that if there had been more time, she still would not have fallen in love with Claude. Sticking between life and Claude, she chooses life. He agreed. The girl reminded him that he only had 1 month left, and the young lady was left alone. She knew that there were only 6 months left before the mutiny, so she could spend a month knowing that he won't fall in love even if he lives in luxury. Eileen heard a noise outside the window early in the morning. She knew that no one was expected, and I thought it might be someone influential. A maid came to Eileen. Eileen asked the maid what happened, since she noticed that quite a lot of crews had arrived. The maid was very happy and excited. She said that the carriages brought her gifts. Eileen was surprised. The maid asked to quickly go and see what had arrived. She desperately wanted to go and start working on a new image for her mistress. Eileen asked the girl what kind of gifts there were, since there were so many carriages. The girl said that there were a lot of jewelry and beautiful dresses there, and that there are even diamonds from Princess Shay herself. Eileen was perplexed and asked the maid what kind of diamond it was. The maid said that this was the most expensive diamond in the empire. It belonged to Princess Shay's kingdom, which was defeated 100 years ago. The maid was collecting Eileen. Eileen, in turn, thought about the Duke, about his intention to buy her love. Eileen laughed furiously at this situation. The maid showed Eileen the diamond. She looked at it and understood why everyone considered it so expensive. Eileen told the maid that she wanted to meet her husband. The girl was sure that the hostess wanted to thank the Duke, but she replied that she wanted to return the gift because it did not suit her. The maid was shocked. Eileen not only walked in on her husband but burst in like a tornado. She was angry with him because of his behavior. The Duke was confused. He timidly asked her about the gifts. The girl said that this behavior was not fair to her. He didn't understand her a little. And he said that if she doesn't like the gifts, then they can return them and buy something else. This is exactly what she will like, because I didn't want to upset her. She was angry with him. He wanted to buy her love with money. Eileen told him that this way he would not achieve his goal, because money can't buy love. They take their eyes away from the girl. He said that in this way he wanted to show her his sincere feelings for her. She screamed that she didn't need to show her feelings like that. But deep down, I wanted to accept him. He was very handsome, but she didn't allow herself to do that. The Duke said that he would then throw it away. He had already swung it and was about to throw it away when suddenly Eileen shouted and told him not to throw it away, she would accept it. He told her that he would never dare to buy her heart with money. He thought that she would like the gift. Eileen thought that she shouldn't have pissed him off like that. The girl said that the stone would be safe with her and slowly walked towards the door. Afterwards, he asked Eileen what kind of gifts she liked. After thinking a little, the young lady said that such gifts contain much more feelings. Eileen left and the Duke was left alone. He thought she liked everything, but he was wrong. Duke Reinhardt was incredibly wealthy, and his influence exceeded that of the imperial family. But he knew that all the gold in the world, including his, did not help him at the age of 15 when his mother died of poisoning. He was depressed and couldn't do anything to get her back. He was not helped by influence at the age of 16 when his father was killed before his eyes. After the death of his loved one, he searched for the killer for a long time, but all attempts failed, and he didn't find any information. After such moments, his goals changed forever. He did not want to lose the people he loved and preferred not to love at all, rather than again cause himself unbearable mental pain. He decided to marry for convenience and thought that as long as he was generous, his wife would be with him. But unfortunately, she wanted to leave, and he didn't understand why. He knew he was scaring her. Even on their wedding day, she was scared and was afraid to even take his hand. He wanted to come to her on the first night, but he was afraid of ruining everything. The servant said that everything would be fine and it would be okay if he came later. He left telling her to rest. After that, they didn't communicate anymore. The Duke noticed that she had become a different person. He didn't want to lose anything or anyone in his life. He blamed himself for everything, but he was glad that he knew everything and could fix everything. He thought that a month would be enough for him to fix everything, and then she would stay with him. The butler came to the Duke. He brought him tea and food. The Duke asked Henry if he had seen anyone who did not like jewelry and other luxurious gifts, and then he asked what gift he thought would show his feelings. Henry, with a smile on his face, asked if this had anything to do with Eileen. The butler said that the lady wants to receive the master's heart and not all the gifts. The Duke said that he always gave his heart to her, but in his own way. The butler pointed out that unfortunately they hardly spent any time together. The Duke thought about the butler's words and said that he would visit his wife today. The butler was a little puzzled and asked if he should come by tomorrow, but the Duke was persistent and said today. The maid hurriedly ran into the mistress's room and said that she should quickly get ready, otherwise the Duke would come to her. The maid thought that the Duke intended to spend the first night with his wife. Eileen was in a state of shock. She knew he was interested in war, but she didn't think he was a pervert. Eileen pictured the scene in her mind, how he comes to her. She decided to prevent this from happening and fight back. She did not want such a fate. The Duke came to her. He wanted to spend time with her. Despite his many jobs, Eileen said that since he came, he must be very hungry. He said that he was hungry because the work took a lot of time. He touched her and said that today he would give everything only to her. She was furious at his words, and she hit him with all her might. He didn't even move, and she was in a lot of pain. He didn't understand why she was so angry. He left everything for her sake. Eileen said that she had the right to be angry since he wanted to spend the first night with her despite her feelings. He was struck by thunder. The Duke said there was a total misunderstanding. He just wanted to show her his feelings and how much he cared for her. Eileen did not understand why he came to her so late. Then he changed in front of her and said that he just wanted to be with her. He wanted to go away and leave her. Eileen felt a little uneasy and said that she wanted to go for a walk so that he could keep her company. The Duke invited her to go to the garden. The young lady agreed. When she saw the place, she was very surprised as she had not seen it before. She really liked it looking at her husband. Ailey asked if everything was fine with him, otherwise he looked somehow strange. The Duke said he was fine. Ailey said that the garden is very beautiful. The Duke quietly said that his mother created this place. The girl knew what happened to his parents, and she understood that it was a very difficult time for him. Ailey apologized for disturbing his memories. He said that everything was fine and that everything was in the past. The young lady asked if he often came to the garden. Claude said that he does not like flowers, but only comes when he thinks about his mother. Ailey picked a flower and gave it to her husband. She asked him to accept it and said that when you see something beautiful, it becomes better. He accepted and said she was right. Claude asked if she liked the flowers. Ailey said that she really likes them because they are beautiful. He picked a flower. Claude gave her a flower, carefully placing it in her palm, saying that it suited her very well. The girl blushed a little at his words. Claude asked her to remember this moment. He asked her to wait. And with all tenderness, he approached and caught the flower in her hair. She thought that he wanted to kiss her. Ailey realized that such walks could influence her decisions and said that they should go indoors. After the walk, Ailey called the maid to bring her something to eat. Liana looked at her for a long time and said that she looked very beautiful. Ailey sent a maid. And I kept thinking about the Duke. She liked their walk and everything was even romantic. But she knew she couldn't afford to fall in love. She knew that she should hold out for a month and they would not see each other again. Thought about her husband all night. She sincerely did not understand why he behaved differently from the story. Ailey knew that if the course of the story was disrupted, her life was at risk. Standing outside his office, she knew she had to find out as much as possible about him. Her thoughts drifted away when the butler opened the door. He was surprised and asked what she was doing near the office. Ailey said she was just walking. The butler said that he had been working in the house for a long time and respected the lady so much that she could call him Henry. She asked if the Duke was working. He said that the Duke was resting and she did not need to disturb him. Ailey decided to take the opportunity to enter. She saw him. She timidly said that she was walking and got a little lost. Claude closed the door and said he was free, and she could come in. Claude looked at her tenderly and said that she was looking for him. Ailey was taken aback and said that she had come by accident and that she had better leave. But the Duke invited her to stay. Ailey said that since he was working, she didn't want to disturb him. Claude said she couldn't stop him. Ailey agreed to drink a cup of tea. He made her tea. Ailey was puzzled. In the book, he was completely different, and she did not expect such kindness towards her. She said that she was very pleased to drink tea prepared by her husband. Claude looked at his wife and said that she had changed a lot. Before she was afraid to look at him, the young master asked whether the real one was the one she was before or the one she is now. The girl knew that she and the heroine were two different people, so I asked my husband that he didn't like the way she was now. Claude said that on the contrary, he liked everything, and he even wanted it to be like this before Ailey said that a whole year had passed, and that's why she had changed so much, and especially in such a difficult situation. The Duke looked at her in bewilderment. Ailey said that the servants looked down on her and did not accept her as the mistress of the house, and this led to such changes. The Duke was furious at what she said. He couldn't believe that she had been treated like this all this time. He asked if that was why she fired the maid. Ailey confirmed his guess, as she did not want to hide the obvious fact. Ailey said that the new maid is very good and copes with her duties, and treats her with respect. Claude was angry. He wanted to punish everyone for their inappropriate behavior towards his wife. The Duke called the butler and told him to fire everyone, leaving a minimum of servants, and he found those who did not respect the lady. Claude said that if the butler finds new students, then let him personally teach them. The maid came to Ailey and said that she needed to get ready for a ball on the occasion of the prince's birthday. Ailey didn't want anything and told the maid to pick everything herself. Ailey didn't really want to go to the ball. After all, she knew what and who would do to her. Remembering stories from books, she didn't understand why everyone mocked the heroine so much. She knew that there would be a lot of people there who always looked down on her, and she decided that this would not happen again, and she will show everyone who she is. Ailey walked and thought about the ball and about the prince himself. From the novella, she knew that he was sociable and kind. She was interested in meeting him in person. Entering the room, she saw that there were flowers everywhere. She was amazed by the beauty and was at a loss how they did not wither. She touched and saw golden sand, and I realized that this was a sign of magic. She knew it was very expensive and didn't understand what her husband was thinking. Claude came to her. She was surprised he never came to see her. He brought her a bouquet of flowers and asked if she liked the gift. She said she liked it, but one bouquet would have been enough for her. Claude said that he would not give his wife just one bouquet. Ailey said that going to the garden is enough for her, and this gift is too much. Claude said that this was not too much, and for him it was nothing. After standing a little longer, he wished her good night and left. The girl was left alone with her thoughts. She frantically did not understand why he behaved differently from the story. The days passed quickly, and it was time for the ball. Ailey looked very beautiful in her outfit. Ailey said that she liked everything and thanked the maids for their work. They were confused and said that it was their job while giving her a lot of compliments. The girl was puzzled by this behavior. Ailey sent everyone away, and only her maid remained. She asked the girl what happened, why the maid's attitude towards her changed so dramatically. She, of course, was pleased, but something did not give her peace. The maid told Ailey that the master fired everyone who ignored or disrespected Ailey, and now they are recruiting new ones. Ailey was shocked and now understood why there was such commotion in the house then. Ailey thanked Liana for telling her everything. The maid was glad that she could help. The girl said that she had to go, otherwise the time was approaching. The maid wished Ailey good luck and a good evening. She came out and saw her husband. He gave her his hand and said that he would accompany her. He was fascinated by her. Claude asked why she was looking at him like that. Ailey said that the outfit suits him very well. He looked at her and affectionately said that she was magnificent. From his words, she forgot everything inside. The girl said she heard that he fired the servants. Claude said they didn't know their place. Ailey said he shouldn't have gone that far, but he was sure that no one dared treat his wife like that, and he promised that he would deal with anyone who offended her. A carriage came for them. They set off. Ailey asked her husband what kind of prince this was. She was interested in him because he was the main character of the book. He was surprised by such a question and did not understand why she was interested. Ailey said that they were going to his birthday, and she was interested in that. Claude glared at her and said that he didn't like it when his wife asked about another guy while he was around her. The Duke said that the prince was not a very pleasant person. Ailey wanted more information, but the girl knew that he was against the imperial family and therefore understood why he did not want to talk to her about such a topic. The Duke asked if she had ever met him. The girl said she saw him a couple of times and nothing more. He looked at her and said that when she meets him, she will understand everything herself. Coming out of the carriage, the Duke shook hands with his wife. She didn't want to fall, so she accepted his help, but still she inadvertently stumbled. Luckily, my husband was nearby. The Duke caught her. His face was so close, and it confused her. She timidly thanked him for picking her up, and she hurried to take a different position. Claude asked her to be a little careful, as she might get hurt. Ailey said that they were late and they had to hurry to the reception. He followed her. They entered the hall. Their married couple was introduced to all the guests, but immediately everyone started whispering behind their backs. Ailey told herself that she would simply ignore those who treated her badly, and he won't pay attention so as not to spoil his mood. The prince followed them. He was presented in all his glory. Ailey saw him and was a little taken aback. In the novella, he was described a little differently. He had a sticky temper and constantly teased Claude. The prince sat tired, leaning against the back of a chair, and his father, the young emperor, said a toast. He asked the prince to say a few words. The prince was a little out of his mind and made a joke that was not funny and drank the bottle from his throat. Said with a smile that he hoped all the guests enjoyed the drinks and food. Ailey was shocked by the beginning in the novella. The banquet was described little, but that's not how he was described. She didn't understand how he could drink from his can. He was the main character and did not allow himself such liberties. The Duke looked at her reaction and asked if she now believed his words. Claude stood and thought, he didn't like such events, because he knew that most of the guests wanted to get their hands on him. Eileen asked him if he wanted to talk to someone. They looked at each other. Claude was glad of this. If he had known that she was not afraid of him, he would have come to her earlier. Claude said he didn't want to talk to others and would rather lose weight with her. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the emperor. They greeted each other politely. Eileen knew that her husband was an authority figure for everyone. The emperor wanted to speak with the duke alone, but he refused. Eileen heard and said that everything would be fine with her so he could safely go. Eileen stood lost in her thoughts. One of the ladies disturbed her peace, who couldn't wait to insult Eileen. Eileen decided not to tolerate resentment. She decided to fight back once and for all. The girl was shocked by Eileen's behavior and ran to her husband in tears. He started yelling at her that since she didn't have her first night with the duke, she shouldn't be angry at the ladies who came with pure intentions to support her. He wanted to hurt her and was not ashamed of his anger. They drove Eileen crazy. She was angry that they were discussing such a thing in a public place. It was her personal life. He had no right to do that. Eileen threatened him and said that if they didn't apologize, she would tell the duke. He started to apologize, but then he wanted to say something, but Eileen interrupted him and poured the glass on him, deciding to teach him a lesson for his shameful words addressed to her. He started shouting at her, and everyone started watching their fight. Eileen decided to come out the winner and told everyone that he yelled at her and talked about her first night, which is not permissible on his part. Her antics attracted and amused the prince. He said he had fun, and thanks to her, he laughed heartily. All the gentlemen opened their mouths at what was happening. The prince took a bottle of wine and poured the contents on the man's head. Having said that he behaved very wrongly towards the duchess, he said he couldn't leave it like that. Eileen didn't understand why he took her side, because in the novel he never paid attention to her. He was interested in another person. The prince began a conversation with Eileen. She was surprised that he knew her. He said she was very funny. He saw the duke and his father and decided to leave, but finally he touched her and gently said, "See you." Eileen was a little taken aback by the prince's behavior. The duke and his majesty stood on the highway. The duke's thoughts were occupied with his wife. He was worried that no one would harm her. He knew he had to be with her. The emperor distracted him from his thoughts and began asking questions of a provocative nature. At the moment, the empire is divided into two camps. One is aristocrats and the other is imperialists. The emperor desperately wanted Claude on his side. The duke was neutral, but everyone wanted to win him over to their side. The emperor told him that he had done a lot for the empire, and he wants him to continue to serve. Their conversation was interrupted by a servant who said that an unpleasant situation had occurred in the hall. The prince poured the bottle on the master's head. They hurried into the hall. The emperor was angry with the prince because of his outburst, and Claude was frantic to make sure that everything was fine with his wife. Claude saw the prince touching his wife. He was upset and furious, since no one dared to touch Eileen except him. Eileen saw her husband and his furious gaze. She suddenly realized that he was not the only one looking at her like that. Eileen turned around and saw the woman, and she immediately realized that this was the main character. Eileen thought she was finished. She knew that if she interested the prince in addition, she could get the prince's jealous girlfriend. Eileen did not understand what to do. Claude approached her, and she was very happy about it. She saw him as the best option after those two. He said he heard about their argument, and he asked her if everything was okay with her. Eileen said everything was fine. He asked her if the first prince had done anything to her. Eileen said there was nothing between them. The duke asked in bewilderment why she was with him then. Eileen looked at him and saw that he and the girl had the same eyes. She couldn't believe it and wondered why he was jealous of her. Eileen said that the prince was just helping her with her problem, but nothing serious. Claude said he shouldn't have gone and left her alone. He apologized to her. Claude said that the ball would end soon and invited her to leave. Eileen agreed, and they left. On the way, she thought about how he apologized to her. It didn't look like him at all. She knew he had changed, but had no idea why. Lying in bed, Eileen thought about what had happened. She didn't understand why everyone had this reaction. The girl knew that she needed to sit quietly and hold out a little longer, and soon she would get a divorce. The butler brought 3 letters to Eileen, saying that only one was important. Having opened the letters, the girl saw an apology. She thought it was very strange. She asked Henry if he had any idea what all this was for. He said everyone wants to take her side. Henry said that the Duke put pressure on her offenders and punished her to the fullest extent. Eileen said that was too much, and she asked to burn the letters. Third letter from the Princess Eileen was invited to a tea party at the palace. She didn't want to go after the recent incident, but Henry said that this should not be abandoned. Eileen knew that the prince in the novel was a very important person. She may be crowned. There are 2 heirs in the empire, and therefore everyone is divided into 2 camps. Some time ago, there were 3 heirs in the imperial family, but unfortunately the prince's brother died under mysterious circumstances, and soon the empress died, and they were left alone. Eileen frantically wanted to know what happened to the young prince. After thinking a little, Eileen said that the butler would send a letter with a positive response. Eileen came to her husband and apologized for what happened at the ball. She said that even though they attacked first, she shouldn't have done that. She seemed bad to others. He said that she had nothing to apologize for and she did everything right, adding that if there is something like this next time she might pour alcohol on them. Eileen said that the princess invited her to a tea party. Claude said he would go with her. Eileen imagined what it would look like, and she felt a little funny. Eileen said that he couldn't go because there would be only ladies there. He said that if someone was rude to her, she could pour tea on them. Eileen was a little puzzled and said he was hot. The Duke said the hotter the better, and he asked her to remember the names of the offenders so that he could destroy them. The day has come for tea with the princess. Eileen asked the maid if she was dressed too brightly for such an event. The maid said that bright clothes suited her very well, and since she had not been to such events for a long time, she needed to attract attention to herself. Eileen arrived for the tea party. Everyone was whispering behind her back, and not only behind her back. She didn't like it at all, and it made her angry. The girls began to discuss her trick, and one of the ladies said that even a commoner did not do this to Eileen, adding that she does not even have the proper education since she does not know who is from which family. Eileen decided to find out who this girl was in order to properly punish her for her rude words, and Eileen decided to teach her a lesson. Eileen said that she insulted not only her, but also the prince, and such behavior is punishable. Since Eileen and the prince did the same thing, the girl was shocked and began to justify herself that she had not said such a thing. The princess listened to their dialogue for a while and politely asked the lady to leave and think about her behavior. All the other girls did not want to get angry and behaved quietly. The main character of the story, who was the love of the prince, asked Eileen how her relationship with the Duke was. Eileen didn't want to quarrel with her and politely told her that she shouldn't show such interest in other couples as it wasn't very good. The girl said that couples should get along, and she asked her not to show interest and not to covet other men. Eileen looked at the girl and realized that she was not at all like she was described in the novel. There, she was shy and very polite to everyone. Eileen thought that in the novel they did not show everything and did not reveal the real characters of the characters, and it could be a completely different story. She didn't know what to do in this case. One of the ladies said that they all knew that she did not have a very good relationship with her husband. Eileen wanted to tell her to watch her words when she heard her husband's voice. Claude was very angry that ladies should not talk about their relationship like that as it upsets him, adding that they have a great relationship. The princess asked what he was doing for tea. Claude said he came to accompany his wife. The princess said that she did not know that he loved her so much and invited him to sit down. The Duke said they were already leaving. Eileen told her husband that he was rude and nothing happened. She was grateful to him for his help, but she could have figured it out on her own since she was used to ridicule. Eileen said that they were right, that everything was not smooth in their relationship, and there was no affection. The first prince interrupted their conversation. The prince paid attention to Eileen, and her husband didn't like it very much. He asked that his wife not be addressed by her first name. The prince said that he would decline his request. The prince was surprised that the Duke would protect his wife so much. The prince said apologized for being so rude and asked Eileen if he could call her by name. Eileen said categorically and emphatically no. He said that she could resolve this at their next meeting. Ailey shouted at him that she didn't like it either, but he did not listen to her and left. They were driving home, and Claude said that the prince liked her. Ailey said that everything is wrong and she doesn't care what he thinks about her. She asked her husband what was wrong. He looked at her and said that he was very jealous. Ailey was in her room and thinking about their trip. I thought about my husband. His eyes seemed so sincere to her. A maid disturbed her peace. The girl asked whether to bring Ailey's lunch into the room. Ailey said she wouldn't mind. The butler came to Ailey and told her that the Duke was calling her to dinner. The young lady didn't really want to go, but still agreed. The maid was very glad that her mistress would dine with her master. She said that everything would be fine and that she shouldn't worry. Ailey entered the hall. She was surprised by the beauty and thought that she should visit this place repeatedly. Claude invited her to the table. He said he let everyone go because he wanted to talk to her alone. He apologized for his behavior at the tea party, saying that Ailey was right and he had been rude. He also said that he wanted to spend more time with her, to get to know her better as a person. He wanted to get to know her better as an individual and as his wife. Ailey knew that this had all gone too far. Claude said that what is very important to him is that she is no longer afraid of him. Ailey couldn't afford to sit and listen to him talk. In a fit of emotion, she stood up and said that she needed to leave. She knew that if she continued to listen to him, he would change her plans. Several days have already passed since their lunch. Ailey thought about her husband. When suddenly he entered the room and brought her breakfast, Ailey was very surprised and asked why he came and not the servant. He said that he wanted to see her and brought breakfast so he could watch her eat. Ailey sat down to eat. She saw all her favorite foods and was puzzled, wondering how he knew what she liked. She asked if he had eaten. The Duke said that he usually skips breakfast and he will just look at her. Ailey wanted to feed him. He ate obediently, and she thought that she was feeding a wild beast that she had just tamed. Ailey said that he is doing very well and now he can eat on his own. Ailey asked to tell the true reason for his coming to her. He said that he wanted to be closer to her and begin to slowly get to know her and her preferences, and asked what she was doing today. Ailey hesitated and asked what he wanted. The Duke timidly invited her to the festival. Ailey agreed without hesitation. He told her to get ready, he would come for her later. She was left alone, and she thought that he asked her out on a date. She was very pleased, and Ailey even blushed a little. The maid came to her and said that she had heard that the Duke had invited her to the festival. Liana was so happy, and Ailey asked why she was so happy. Leon said that they were going to a festival and it was famous for its beauty and only coming in pairs. And also, if someone gives flowers at the festival, they will remain together forever. Leon said that the gentleman did not leave the room for several days and was preparing to go out into public. Ailey knew he had a lot of work to do. And I realized that he was trying to do everything quickly in order to find the time of day for her, and so that they can safely go for a walk on the holiday. Ailey was collected by the maid. The girl looked incredibly beautiful. Ailey thanked Leon for her work and left. They arrived at the festival. Ailey understood what the maid was talking about. It was a wonderful place. She saw a lot of interesting things and wanted to take a closer look. In a fit of emotion, she grabbed his hand and pulled him towards the shops. He turned very red. She pulled back, realizing that she was holding his hand. He said with a smile that if she wanted to hold his hand, she could just tell him. Ailey said she just wanted to pull him towards the shops. Without arguing, she took his hand, and they went to look at all the decorations. He said she could choose anything, and he would buy it. Ailey said she just wanted to look, and there was no need to buy. They were walking. Claude said he wanted to show her a place. He put his jacket on her and asked her to wait for him a little. Ailey stood and smiled. She really liked the view. She saw the fireworks and thought that she would like to stand with her husband and see his reaction. He came and brought her flowers. The girl was puzzled. She asked if he knew what that meant. He asked her to forget everything and just accept them. Ailey noticed that after the festival, everyone's mood changed for the worse. And her maid, who was always joyful, was gloomy. Ailey asked what happened. Leon said that animals appeared at the festival, and in particular, they visited the place where her family lives. Ailey reassured the girl. She said that they were strong and the locals could not cope with them, but only the Duke could. Monsters that grew up on evil mana are very strong and resilient, and besides, they recover quickly and they can die only after one strong blow. Ailey sat and thought. She realized how she could help the maid and everyone else. Claude and the butler discussed the current situation. He knew that he would need to go to the site himself and deal with the monsters. Claude gave the butler instructions, and he hurriedly left. Ailey came to him. He was a little surprised. He said that he needed to leave for some time and he would not have time to fulfill their agreement. She thought he would ask for more time, but he didn't. But she said she would go with him. He was against her going. But Ailey knew that she had to go and arrange a meeting for him with the blacksmiths who would forge a sword for him. Noah was a legendary blacksmith. He went through many difficulties, but still he managed to create a weapon that could kill monsters with one swing. The first person to notice its value was the prince. He was looking for evidence of Claude's rebellion, but escaped. Ailey wanted to find the sword and said she would go with it. The Duke did not want to take her with him, as he was very worried about her. They argued for a long time, but Ailey was persistent. Ailey came to her husband in the evening because they had not agreed. She did not want to give up and unintentionally wonder. She needed to go somewhere safe, since not only her life, but also her husband's depended on it. But Claude stood his ground and did not want to take her with him. He said she should wait at home. He was very worried about her. After all, where he was going to go, there were a lot of monsters. She decided not to give up her position and sat next to him while he pretended to be asleep. An hour later, he heard silence. Looking, he saw that she had fallen asleep sitting on the ground. He took her onto the bed and sat next to her. She woke up and saw that he was sitting next to her. She was very ashamed. Ailey decided to quickly leave. The Duke said that she had won and he would take her with him. Ailey was very glad that she won this argument. She said that she would not leave the guards even a step. After some time, they packed up and set off. Claude appointed 2 knights to accompany her, and he ordered them to guard and keep their eyes on his wife. They arrived at the place where the animals attacked. All the people were shocked that the Duchess came. They also felt joy that she visited them. Claude said that he would go and look at the problem and she should stay with the knights. The knights invited her to go to the hotel, but Ailey said that she wanted to go to the blacksmith. One of the knights said that he knew the place where all the blacksmiths gathered. They went to look for the master. When they arrived at the place, they were met by a blacksmith. He offered them his services and other craftsmen who supplied their products. Ailey said that it was Noah that she needed. The master of his craft said that he was not very good at his job and suggested that she turn to someone else. Ailey was very persistent. She asked to be told where exactly he was. The blacksmith explained how to get there. Ailey found him and said she had an order for him. She really wanted to get ahead of the prince and get the magic sword, with the help of which one could kill the beast with one blow. The blacksmith said he had no idea how to make such a weapon. Ailey said that everything is fine and she will tell you how to make it. He asked her once she knows how to do it, why she came to him. She asked him if he didn't want his weapon and his name to go down in history. He was a little puzzled. Ailey said if he follows her, he will get everything he wants. Ailey said that he was very capable and could do anything under her guidance. He is also the only one who can do this. The recipe for a magic weapon is very simple. You need to combine a mana crystal and a sword. Crystals are very fragile. Even sorcerers often break them. Ailey knew that only Noah could do everything necessary and create a weapon. He had the ability to place a crystal into a sword. Constantly testing himself, he succeeded in creating magical weapons. After that, the prince took him into his ranks. The sword was very valuable, and therefore Ailey wanted to be the first to get it. She knew that she could rewrite history and get everything that would help her husband win. After talking, they reached the result she needed. She left him with joyful thoughts, knowing that she would soon get what she wanted. 3 days later, Noah presented the sword. He was incredibly happy that he was able to make it. Ailey was delighted. She invited him to work for her. He agreed. Claude fell apart with the monsters with ease. One local knight said that he greatly admired the Duke. The Duke said that there are a lot of opponents, and they should deal with the monsters as soon as possible. One of the knights who guarded Ailey came. He said that Ailey would like to see him. The Duke came to meet her, and the girl gave him a sword. He was surprised by such a gift and overjoyed. He really liked the sword. Eileen told me what kind of sword it was. Claude was shocked and did not understand how she knew about such things. The girl said that she read old books and found out about everything. He took advantage of it. After he used magic, something became bad for him, and his injury also affected him. He fell and lost consciousness. Eileen was shocked. Claude woke up and said that he was in such a hurry to get to her that they did not transport the wound. Well, Eileen was very worried about him. She asked for forgiveness. Eileen treated her husband's scratches. He said she had enough work. She needs to call a doctor to take care of him. She said she would take care of him and treat his wounds, and he doesn't need to be ashamed of his scars and wounds. The Duke thanked her again for the gift and said that with her help he would defeat everyone. Eileen asked him to come to her safe and without wounds. Claude was busy with monsters and did not pay attention to his wife at all. Eileen knew that at this rate her plan would succeed and she would get a divorce, but her heart was very heavy. For a complete and quick victory, Eileen decided to make as many weapons as possible with which she could kill the monsters. The blacksmiths prepared the swords, and Noah using his strength inserted stones and the sword was completed. One of the knights took and used the sword and was shocked by the result. They cut down the monsters and defeated them all in a few days. One of the knights was very grateful to the Duchess. The Duke supported him. He said it was time for him to leave. He knew that there was 1 day left, and the month was ending. He couldn't let her divorce him. The Duke ordered the carriage to be prepared. He wanted to leave. Eileen sat and thought about her and her husband. She knew that the month was ending, and according to their agreement, they would divorce. She knew that he would die at the hands of the prince. Eileen knew that this was not fair. He was not like in the novel, he was better and sincere, but unfortunately Eileen could not sacrifice her life for him. Claude came to Ilya and said that he missed her very much. Eileen asked how he was doing with monsters. He said that thanks to her, everything is going as well as possible. Eileen said that in 2 days the month ends. The Duke was determined to go to the end and said that he knew and would try until time was up. He invited her to go with him to the barrier where the monsters were killed. Eileen agreed to go with him and went to get ready. They were riding in a carriage, and the Duke said that the knights had to clean everything up before they arrived. He wanted to show her the beautiful landscape, which was restored thanks to her. Claude said that the knights all missed her very much. Eileen was upset about the whole situation that had developed. She felt uneasy and very upset. Claude saw the condition she was in and said that they would arrive soon and they would go out into the fresh air. Eileen and Claude stood on the wall and admired the forest. Claude told his wife that if she stayed with him, he would give all of himself to her, and he gave her a ring. He asked her to accept him no matter what her decision was. He wanted her to remember him. Eileen accepted it. She knew that she would constantly remember him. They were disturbed by the arrival of knights who wanted to thank the girl. They began to say words of gratitude. The Duke asked them not to press her. The girl said he didn't have to tell them that the Duke said that he wanted her to look only at him. They stood and looked at the stars. Eileen said she would remember this day for a long time. The next day, the Duke reported news of the monsters. He asked his wife to wait for him because he needs to verify the information. Eileen said she wanted to go with him. He was very worried about her, but he knew that this was the last day, and he wanted to spend every minute with her. He agreed to take her with him. He arrived at the place and went into the cave. Eileen saw a magical trail, and I remembered how the novel talked about this. She could not understand how the magician managed to make so many magic circles in the cave where the monsters were. She realized that they had been made before. Claude looked at the circles and said that they were used to summon monsters. Eileen was surprised and asked how he knew this. He wasn't a magician. Claude said that he had to fight alongside magicians and they used similar circles to summon their pets to fight monsters. Eileen was surprised that he was able to remember this. He was angry and wanted the culprits to be immediately punished for their actions. The Duke wanted to send a magician to check the circles and said that it was necessary to check all the magicians who lived in the surrounding area. Eileen was confused how this could happen because there was no such thing in the novel. While walking to the carriage, Eileen was attacked by a monster. Claude protected her with his body, and a couple of minutes later he killed the monster. He knew that his wife was not hurt, and that was enough for him. Eileen looked at him in tears. He was wounded and fell. Claude told his wife that he was fine and she could go and rest. Eileen thanked him for saving her and said that their time had expired. Eileen knew that she couldn't leave him after he saved her. She said that she had decided everything and she would stay with him. She knew that she had to save Claude's life and herself at all costs. Eileen knew how they would die, and that was her advantage. She decided to put off the divorce and focus on salvation. He approached her and said that he was very grateful to her and would try to do everything in his power so that she would stay with him and not change her decision. The next day, a priestess arrived to heal the Duke's wounds. The priestesses bow to the goddess of peace. Using their power, they can exorcise demons and also heal wounds. The priestess began treatment, and in the blink of an eye she noticed everything as if nothing had happened. Eileen was shocked and very happy. She thanked the priestess. She accepted the words of gratitude with all modesty. The priestess and Eileen went out into the corridor and began to have a conversation. The priestess asked to check Eileen's energy. She hesitated, but agreed. After checking, the priestess said that she initially felt the presence of divine energy, but when she checked, she realized that she was mistaken. Eileen was glad that no one had bought it, and she decided to rush to her husband. As she entered, she saw him getting dressed. She sheepishly asked if she should come back later, but he said he was already done so she could come in. Eileen said that she wanted to talk about the future and especially about the blacksmith. The Duke was a little puzzled. She asked him in all seriousness to listen to her. Eileen said she wanted to start making swords. She wanted to take stones separately and select them so that they were of the best quality. She also wanted to begin fulfilling her duties as mistress of the house. The Duke said that she was free to do what she wanted. Claude asked how important Noah is to her, and what place and importance does he have for her. Eileen was puzzled by the question, but knew she had to answer. She said that he is in third place because he is a genius who is no longer in the Empire. Claude asked where he was. Eileen said it was on the second. The Duke asked who was on first. Eileen said she did, but he interrupted her saying that he had something to do and needed to leave. He didn't want to listen to who was in first place. He said that he would do whatever it took to keep her from making her decision. They arrived at the castle. Eileen now has personal bodyguards. Henry met them. He was glad to see them back. The Duke told his wife that she should go and rest. She, in turn, said that it wouldn't hurt him to rest either. Entering the room, Eileen saw a maid. She was very glad to have her back, and with tears in her eyes, she thanked her for what she had done. Eileen knew that she had to prevent her husband's death, but I didn't understand how this could be done. After all, everything was not going as in the novel, and she was very alarmed by it. She was interested in why Claude decided to stand up against the imperial family, because he had no apparent reason. Eileen knew that she only had 5 months left before he would be killed for treason. Therefore, she wanted to avoid finding out the reason. Eileen told Henry she wanted to start doing business. He was very happy and said that he would explain everything to her. The Duchess sat and sorted out the documents. When she was with Henry, everything was clear to her, but when she was left on her own, it became very difficult. At times, she wanted to give up. Eileen received a letter from Noah. He thanked her for the opportunity she provided, and he said that he would definitely pay for her kindness and make the best sword. Eileen was distracted from the documents by Rosen. He said that she works so hard that she doesn't even have time to talk. Eileen said that her husband told her the same thing. She asked if he knew where the Duke was. He said that he was at the training ground for knights. Eileen said that we could visit him. Claude was surprised when he saw his wife. She thanked him for providing a new forge for Noah. Eileen released the bodyguard and they went for a walk. She asked him if there was any information about the circles. He said the investigation was inconclusive, adding that she doesn't need to worry. Everything will be fine with her because he is nearby. The Duke also said that at the banquet in honor of the founding of the country, there would be a lot of talk about this. Eileen wanted to look amazing on the can. She wanted to outshine everyone. He can achieve this with the help of Princess Shay's diamond necklace. They went to the workshop, and they asked to make a necklace from the stone. The master was very glad that she had such an honor, and she said that she would do everything on time. Claude invited her to look at some other jewelry. Eileen said that what she has is enough for her, but he was persistent. They were offered to buy several stones, and in particular one that matched her hair color very well. Seeing the price, Ailey was a little stunned. Young ladies entered the store. It was the prince and his girlfriend. They all greeted each other politely. Edith said she was very glad to see them. The prince said that he allowed her to call him by name. Ailey said she didn't remember agreeing with his words. The prince said that he had heard a lot about her exploits. He said she was unique and fun. The Duke began to say a phrase, but when Ailey heard that he wanted to become her, she quickly covered his mouth with her hands. The prince laughed and said that they seemed to be on good terms. Edith stood next to him. He looked at her and said that he had completely forgotten about her. Ailey was confused as to how he could say such a thing. She knew that there was something between them, and he allowed himself to communicate with her like that. She stood and watched, thinking that they had quarreled. The Duke looked and said that he would become jealous if she looked so closely at other men, and he said that he would like her to look like that only at him. She agreed with him. The Duke said that all purchases should be sent to them at the castle. They said goodbye and left. They drove to the castle, and Claude asked if she was interested in the prince. The girl said no and asked why he thought so. He said he was very handsome. Ailey said that he was not her type and that he had a girlfriend. In addition, she said that she did not know a more handsome man than him. Having said this, she herself was taken aback. He looked at her with confusion, and Ailey said that he shouldn't speculate. Ailey decided to change the subject and asked why he didn't like him so much. He said that he did not like him because he was interested in his wife. Ailey asked if he liked being the next emperor. Claude said it was a dangerous question, but if she is there, everything will be fine. He said he would remain neutral, and he doesn't care who the next emperor will be. The Duke said that such topics are dangerous, but he will still tell her he believed that the prince was behaving dissolutely after the death of his brother. Claude said that at the age of 14 he died due to an accident. He showed great promise as he was very talented and a copy of his mother, so she loved him more. There was a national celebration of the founding of the country. After the banquet, the young man left the palace with his bodyguards to watch the festival. The weather was northern that day, very heavy rain. On the way back, they passed the river. A tragedy occurred due to the wet road. Ailey said that one could understand why the prince had changed. The Duke said this may be one of the reasons, but when they found the prince's body, they found puncture wounds on it. The family investigated the death but found nothing. The empress who led the investigation died soon after. There were rumors that she was poisoned. In the end, the emperor could not find out anything and decided to close the case. And after what happened, the prince changed. Claude said that despite all his behavior, he does not like that he is trying to get closer to his wife. Lying in bed, Ailey kept thinking about her husband's words and his death. She decided to put all thoughts aside and sleep. She had a terrible dream. Namely, the prelude to the ending of the novel, the scene in which the Duke was preparing an uprising against the imperial family. Ailey was terrified. She tried to reach him and stop him, but it was just a dream, and nothing worked out for her. She didn't understand why he started all this. They would have already headed to the castle, but one of the knights said that the prince had found out everything and was heading towards them. The prince asked why he was doing all this. The Duke said that he himself knew everything. The prince asked him if he really didn't feel sorry for his wife because she would also die. The Duke was furious and said that he should not dare talk about her. The prince attacked him. They didn't have a full fight. With the help of a magic sword, the prince killed the Duke. Dying Claude told him not to let Ailey go missing since she had nothing to do with it. The prince left saying that it was not in his power to save her life. Ailey was furious. She ran to her husband. She cried furiously, and a spirit came to her. The woman asked Ailey if she could prevent her husband's death. Ailey shouted that she would do everything to save him. When she woke up, she was confused by such a dream. Ailey knew that some of the dialogue was not in the novel. She wanted to check on her husband and make sure everything was okay with him. Ailey came to her husband. He said that she was too pale and asked if everything was okay with her. Ailey said that she was healthy and everything was fine and asked how he was feeling. Claude said he was as healthy as an ox. She saw the letter and asked who it was from. Claude said that the temple sent thanks for their donations, and they were invited to visit. Eileen was haunted by thoughts about the woman who was in the dream, and she asked her husband to visit the temple with her. He said they would leave after dinner. Eileen asked if he would eat with her. He wanted to refuse, but Eileen insisted, saying that her responsibilities included taking care of her husband and his health, and he skipped meals too often. They ate. Claude wanted to know the real reason why Eileen came to him in the morning. Eileen did not want to talk, but under his pressure, she said that she had a nightmare. Claude supported her and said that it was just a dream, and he was there no matter what. They arrived at the temple. They were greeted very cordially. Eileen asked to call the priestess to help them and heal Claude. When the priestess came to them, Eileen thanked her again, and they went to inspect the temple. Eileen asked why everyone in the temple has white hair. The priestess said that the greater the faith in the goddess, the lighter the hair. Because it was her color, they approached the altar on which stood an exquisite bracelet. Eileen asked what kind of bracelet it was. She desperately wanted to take possession of him. The priestess said that this was the bracelet of the goddess herself. Eileen asked why, then, he just held it so easily. The girl said that he was waiting in the wings according to a prophecy, and he couldn't just be taken away. They put magic on him, and it takes a lot of effort to get him out of the temple. The priestess also said that according to the prophecy, it should be kept in this place. For in due time, a man must come who can possess it and will bring peace. While the priestess was speaking, Eileen came closer and closer to him. She wanted him fiercely. She heard a voice from her dream and was taken aback. She touched the display case, and it shattered into pieces, and the bracelet ended up on her hand. The temple servants came running to the noise. They were outraged by this behavior of the guests. They started hurling accusations, and a serious incident broke out. Eileen calmed everyone down and asked them to listen to her. They agreed. Eileen said that everything happened from the very beginning. The priestess confirmed her story. The servants were shocked. Eileen said she would take off the bracelet. No matter how she tried, it didn't work. She asked her husband, but it didn't work out for him either. Then the girl turned to the servant. All attempts failed. One of the ministers said that there was no way to remove the bracelet, and they offered to cut off her wrist. Claude heard and said that he would kill anyone who hurt her. The priestess said it was because of the prophecy. The novices were a little taken aback. After all, in their opinion, there was no chaos, so the world is not needed. The priestess said that now monsters and many not very good people are attacking Eileen, was surprised that she took her side. The men asked Eileen to show them the power of the artifact. Eileen didn't succeed and said she didn't want to wear it and asked to take it off. But the man said that they themselves did not know how to remove it. The Duke was angry. He frantically shouted that they would remove him or quickly figure out how to remove him. The man said that they would come up with something. In the meantime, a priestess will be presented to Eileen temporarily. They walked to the carriage and talked. The priestess said that they would close the prayer room for a while until they prepared the bracelet craft. Later, everything will be restored and somehow nothing will be noticed. Claude reassured his wife, having said a lot of nice things, and he left, leaving them alone. The women spoke. The priestess said that she followed Eileen because she considers her to be the real owner of the bracelet and believes in the prophecy. Arriving at the castle, Eileen told Henry that the priestess had come to illuminate the castle, and while the ritual is taking place, she needs a room. The butler escorted the girl to her new chambers. Claude was worried that at the banquet someone might understand that this was a real religion. Eileen calms him down, saying that by then they will have removed it, and if not, she will say that it is an imitation. She asked his forgiveness for adding to his troubles. He said she had no need to apologize. She didn't do anything. He touched her gently. Eileen suddenly became blind. She wanted to be with him. She enjoyed his touch, but she said she had to leave. Eileen was already getting ready to sleep when her husband came to her. Claude said he wanted to put her to bed. Since she had nightmares, he wanted her to sleep properly. Eileen lay down. He sat down next to me. Claude said that no matter what she worried about, he would protect her. She knew that she had heard these words somewhere, and it made her feel uneasy. She asked Claude to stay with her until she fell asleep. Looking at her husband, he said that she somehow felt uncomfortable when he sat and looked, so she asked him to lie with her. They lay down, and she asked him to take her hand. Eileen woke up and saw that Claude was gone. Eileen asked Henry to take care of breakfast for the priestess. The mistress went to the priestess. They sat nicely and talked about what happened. Aili was wondering when the bracelet would be removed, and she wanted to know if the priests would attend the banquet. The priestess said they would be there, and she will go with them and will look after her from afar. The day of the banquet was approaching. The maids ran around their mistress in joy. Aili looked at them and thought that they liked the training camp more than she did. Aili was sent her necklace. When they saw it, they were simply stunned by the beauty. Aili said that for such beauty you need to pay the master double the rate. The day of the banquet arrived. Aili got ready, and the maids could not take their eyes off her. As she put the ring on her finger, Aili remembered her husband's words. They made her feel pain in her heart, and she wanted to be with him. Claude met his wife and said that she looked simply dazzling. The girl said he looked elegant. He noticed that she was wearing a ring. Claude said that it suited her very well and kissed her hand. She felt a little embarrassed. They hurried to the banquet. Arriving at the banquet, they saw that the palace shone with luxury. They were introduced and walked among the guests. Everyone was furiously discussing their family life, the necklace in which was the most precious stone, and the bracelet that did not match the outfit Aili's father who attended the event. Aili was indifferent to their conversations until she heard that her father had arrived. She knew nothing about him. He was mentioned casually in the novella, and she didn't know how to behave with him. Aili was haunted by thoughts of her father. She put all the facts together. Her thoughts disappeared when they greeted the imperial family. The emperor made a beautiful speech and wished them a good rest. They stood and looked at the people around them. Suddenly, Ayla's father flew to her and started making a fuss. Claude stood up for her. The father was angry and he wanted to talk to her. Aili said if he wanted to talk, they could do it on the track, and she asked her husband to wait for her. He said he would take her to the track and wait. The father asked why his daughter did not follow the emperor's orders. Aili was perplexed, and I wanted to find out a little about everything. She said that the Duke is her family, and if her father offers her something more, she will think about it. He only asked her to give him information about the Duke. The father left, leaving Aili alone. Her husband came up to her and asked if she was okay. He asked what the Count wanted. The girl said that now was not the place to talk, and she would tell everything in a more convenient place. The Duke said that if his wife was not feeling well, they could go home. Aili said everything was fine and they could stay. They went into the hall. The prince approached them. They talked a little. The Duke said that they needed to leave. As they were leaving, the prince noticed a bracelet on her hand. He said she saw it in the prayer room and asked to see it. The Duchess became a little nervous. But going up to the prince, she showed him the bracelet and said that it was just a fake relic. Since she recently visited the temple, she really liked the goddess's bracelet. The prince really liked the bracelet and said that it really looked like a relic. Their innocent actions were seen by the prince's beloved. She quickly ran away. The Duchess told the prince to immediately follow her and correct the situation, saying that there had been a misunderstanding. The Duke and Duchess decided to go to the girl and explain to her the whole situation. Aili saw the prince talking to his beloved, but unfortunately, she was far away and did not hear their conversation. When suddenly a servant ran into them, Claude scolded him and said that he should be more careful in future. The Duchess did not want to make any unnecessary fuss and complicate everything, and said that everything was fine. She remembered the young servant and told him to return to his duties. She saw the bracelet on her wrist glow. Aili decided to approach the girl and tell her that she had misunderstood the whole situation, when suddenly I saw a servant boy who was attacking them. She realized that this was a dark sorcerer. Claude covered her with his body to protect her from danger. The girl didn't want anyone to get hurt and accidentally use her magic. She managed to repel the attack of the black sorcerer with the help of the relic. He was furious. She didn't understand what she was doing, but she knew that she needed to do whatever it took to protect her husband and everyone who was at the banquet. He didn't understand where she got her divine power from. Aili greatly weakened him, thereby allowing him to be arrested. Everyone present was confused about what happened. They all whispered and discussed the young Duchess and what she was able to do, and the fact that she saved the prince. The priestess of the temple said that they would do everything to support the girl and would be faithful to her. She promised her she serves faithfully. The emperor came running in response to all the commotion. They told him what happened, and he used his power against the dark magician, thereby showing his true appearance. The magician crushed the poison capsule and died. The emperor was furious at what happened at his banquet. He gave everyone instructions on what they should do, and asked everyone to leave the banquet as it was closed. The emperor thanked the girl for saving his son. Later, the prince approached her. He also thanked her for saving him and Edith. He was surprised and very grateful for her courage. The Duchess. They asked her to come to their temple later to communicate with the goddess. Aili knew that she needed to visit the temple in order to find out more information about the bracelet and how to remove it, as well as about her power. Aili knew that today's incident was not in the novel, and she desperately wanted to know why this was happening. She didn't understand why she, a minor character, suddenly became the owner of the relics, and why was she given such power? The priestess told her not to worry about anything, they will try to help her. She also said that the temple would soon declare her the owner of the sacred relic. Ali was a little shocked by this, because after such actions, she would not be left alone. The Duke said that the carriage had already been prepared and they could go home. Aili was very glad that they would leave this place. He asked her if she was able to walk and said if she was in trouble he could carry her in his arms. The girl was embarrassed by this proposal because she didn't want everyone to watch. Aili said she could walk there on her own and she was fine. Then he invited her to take his hand. They walked slowly towards the carriage. The Duchess said that she was fine and asked how he was after such a shock. Code said that he was used to this, since many attempts had been made on his life. But really, he was afraid for her. He was worried about her, since he couldn't really do anything. Aili was horrified that he had outlived his time, that he suffered a lot of horror and got used to being attacked. In order to defuse the situation, Aili said that he need not worry. Now she is nearby and she will protect him. The girl asked her husband if she was the real owner of the relic, could it serve their life? He said that she had nothing to worry about and that he would solve all the issues. But he also thanked her for rescuing him, saying that it was an unusual experience to save him.